Welcome. I am creating a movement to change the economy so that men, women, and children of every ethnicity can experience prosperity and live in harmony. Before I get started talking about the pursuit of excellence, I want to share with you my gratitude. Thank you to those who did not support me. Because of you, I've developed the determination and the resilience to solve every problem, overcome every obstacle, and walk down the most difficult roads. And it's because of that determination and resilience I'm able to do what I'm doing today. I created this channel and created this movement out of nothing. Now we have over 1,000 subscribers and we're on our way to 2,000. So thank you to those who did not support me. I want to thank those who did support me. Because of men and women like you, I was able to climb up the ranks of the United States military and earn a commission as an officer in the United States Air Force. It's because of men and women like you who have supported me that I was able to climb up the ladder of corporate America as a consultant at one of the big 4 accounting firms in the world. And I do not believe that I would have been able to earn a bachelor's of science in military strategy from the United States Air Force Academy or a master's in business administration from the University of Maryland, let alone become a keynote speaker or start this channel or create a movement that will change the economy so that men, women, and children of every ethnicity can experience prosperity. So if you are a supporter, thank you. I could not do what I am doing today, and I wouldn't have the strength or the courage to do what I'm doing today if it weren't for you. If you're paying attention to what is going on in the world, you may notice that our community is under attack. It is getting harder and harder to pursue excellence in everything that we do in our personal and our professional lives. There's outside and external influences, there's distractions in our environment and with our technology. There are people out there who oppose us and want to distract and discourage us. So there's a lot of things out there that influence us not to pursue excellence in everything that we do. And when our excellence, our commitment to pursue excellence is challenged, our core values come under attack. And when our core values come under attack, then our identity is threatened. And when our identity is threatened, and if nothing is done about it, it gets weaker. And as our identity gets weaker, then our community also gets weaker. So the pursuit of excellence is very important. And it's important for us to overcome the challenges that we are facing today so that we can reach our personal and professional goals and one day be as fulfilled as we are supposed to be living our dreams. It wasn't that long ago when I was sitting in a conference room working as a consultant at one of the big 4 accounting firms in the world. And as I was sitting in this meeting, um, hearing my colleagues speak about how we should organize our team for a proposal that we had to present to a prospective client, I was listening for my opportunity. This was going to be my moment where I would be selected to speak. I'd be selected to say my what I thought about how we should organize. This was going to be my time to present slides to the client. This was going to be my big opportunity to show not just my colleagues but my prospective client what I could do. And that was important because if I can show my colleagues and my prospective client what I could do, I would be able to get a raise. I'll be able to get that promotion that I've been working so hard for, and my career would reach the levels that I wanted it to reach. And without this opportunity, then all of that would be delayed. And it may not happen at all because in corporate America, if you don't reach a certain level by a certain point, then sometimes you never reach that level. You never get to that point. But as I was listening to my colleagues in executive speak, um, something unfortunate happened. As they were speaking, I learned that they thought that the best way to organize our team was for me not to have a management role or for me not to have a speaking role, and not for me not to present slides, but the best way to organize a team was for me to serve as the next slide guy. For those of you that don't know, the next slide guy just does just that. They make sure that the right slide is there for the speaker. Maybe they'll take notes, maybe they'll answer questions, but they have a very limited role. And when you have a very limited role on a project team, a lot of times you're the first one to get laid off or you're the first person to leave because your role is so insignificant. So this was bad news for me. I was frustrated. I stood up, walked outside, and excused myself very politely. I'm sure no one really knew what I was thinking inside. And as I was walking down the hall to clear my head, I remembered another time when my commitment to pursue excellence in everything that I did was threatened. I was working on a flight line in the Middle East. I was an aircraft mechanic in the United States Air Force, working on the KC-10A extender. And we received this new group commander, and this group commander started making policies that made it difficult for us to do our job. And whenever that happens, whenever a manager or a senior executive starts making decisions that make it difficult for you to be productive, a lot of times you take it personal because for those out there who are either turning wrenches or in the trades, your job is your pride. You spend so much time at work. Your job is your life. You spend more time at your job than you do at home sometimes, and in the military, that's the case. And so when he started making those policies that made it hard for us to be productive, a couple of us mechanics started talking about what we should do and how we should react. We knew that the policies were going to make it harder for us to be productive, so productivity would decrease. So the airplanes would not be ready to fly if we did everything exactly how the new group commander said we should do it. So one day during the morning roll call, one of the mechanics, raised their hand and we asked our squadron commander. We asked her what she thought about it and whether or not she knew if the group commander had considered what would happen if the airplanes were not ready to fly. And those missions that they were supposed to fly were not able to be done by our unit. Were they going to add an additional aircraft to the theater? Were they going to push the missions off to another or a sister flight? What was going to happen when the airplanes were not ready and our productivity went down? And I'll never forget this. The squadron commander was one of the best commanders that I had worked for. And she replied in so many words that said, I can't tell you individually what you should do or how you should feel. And she said, everything that you're seeing at your level, how much more difficult your job is, I'm also seeing at my level. And I have to deal with it every single morning. But she said, I believe that this is an excellent maintenance unit and we have excellent mechanics and we have great teamwork. It's part of who we are. It's our identity. And I don't believe that one group commander with one set of policies is going to change who we are and the maintenance that we produce. You know, um, we left that morning meeting. I left feeling motivated, but we left that morning meeting, and as we were riding in the truck, the mechanic's truck out to the airplane. We got our toolboxes and we're getting our assignments for the day. And as we were still in the truck, we started talking. All the mechanics, the crew chiefs got together and we all started talking. And I learned as we were talking that there are two types of people. There were people who, when they are challenged, when they face obstacles, they respond by meeting the challenge and finding a way to succeed. And then there are people who, when they are challenged, they find a reason to fail or they find a reason to not perform to standard. The majority of us had decided, based on hearing our squadron commander speak, that we were going to do our best to perform excellent maintenance regardless of what the group commander had said. We're going to do what he asked us to do, and if it's harder, if it takes a little bit more intelligence, a little bit more hard work, if it takes a little bit more work ethic, whatever it is, we're going to figure out a way. If we have to use creativity, we'll use creativity, but we'll figure out a way to make sure that the aircraft have excellent maintenance and they're ready to fly the next morning. And then there were a few who said, they made it harder for us. These new policies are making it harder for me to be productive. They cannot expect me or my aircraft to be ready to fly the next day. Like I said, the majority of us, um, we rose to the challenge, and eventually, I believe a couple of weeks later, we received a letter from a pilot who had got shot down, or his aircraft had went down behind enemy lines. And that fighter pilot was writing to tell our unit, "Thank you for the maintenance that you all have done, and you all have done, and for your aircraft flying the sorties, because your aircraft provided the fuel that the special operations team needed in order to rescue me when I went down in Afghanistan." And I don't think that the that mission would have been flown by our unit, and I don't think we would have been there to provide fuel for the special operations team if the majority of us did not decide to pursue excellence in everything that we did, and if our aircraft was not ready to fly. We had one of the highest mission capable rates in the United States Air Force. And after the deployment, we received honors and recognition for being an excellent maintenance unit all across the United States Air Force. I can go on and on about the accomplishments that we have done because we rose to that challenge. And I'm sharing that story with you because as I was walking through the hall and I was thinking of another time I felt unappreciated and overlooked, and I was thinking about another time when my commitment to pursue excellence in everything that I did was challenged. I remember how I rose to the challenge. So I was walking down the hall and I asked myself, what am I going to do now that I'm a consultant at one of the big 4 accounting firms and my commitment to pursuing excellence in everything that I do is challenged? Well, of course, I rose to the challenge. I accepted the role as the next slide guy, and the next day I was the best next slide guy they have ever seen. But something interesting happened when we were presenting our proposal to a prospective client, and we were on our way. The presentation was going well, but when we had our question and answer session, one of the members of our prospective client asked a question that could have sidetracked the entire presentation, and I rose my hand. And once I was given permission to speak, I answered the question, and I answered it so well that not only did my colleagues looked at me and they were impressed with my answer, but the prospective client um, also resonated with what I had said, and it was such a great contribution, and I can't downplay it, even though I tend to downplay the things that I do, but I can't downplay it. It was such a good answer that a couple of weeks later, I got a phone call from someone who wasn't even in the room. And they called me up and they said, I heard you did an excellent job during that oral presentation. I said, well, thank you. I'm just grateful to be part of the team because I was assigned to be the next slide guy. And it took a little bit more creativity, it took a little bit more intelligence to contribute to the success of the proposal in some meaningful way, other than just making sure that the slides are presented on the screen. And they say, well, I heard you did a great job, and it looks like we're going to win that opportunity. And this was a big deal because if we won that opportunity, it would open up new lines of business. We would hire more people. Executives would get promoted. Everyone who contributed to the project in some meaningful way would be rewarded. And a couple of weeks after that, I found out that we won the opportunity, and everyone who contributed in some meaningful way um, were promoted and they got raises. I got one of the biggest raises that I ever received in my entire life. And eventually I earned that promotion that I had been working so hard to earn. But not only that, my firm was able to create additional revenue and create profits that exceeded expectations without having to cut costs in a manner that is inconsistent with growth. And my prospective client, well, they got the services that they needed in order to solve some of their most difficult problems. And I'm sharing with you that story. I share that story with you because I want you to know that none of that would have been possible if, when I was challenged, when I faced opposition, if I chose not, or if I didn't rise to the challenge and pursue excellence in everything that I do. So let that be a word of encouragement to you. If you're being tested, if you're facing a challenge, if you're facing strong opposition, if someone is trying to stop you or discourage you, or someone disappoints you, and you feel as if your commitment to pursuing excellence in everything that you do is wandering or is waning, use this as a reminder to pursue excellence regardless of how many challenges that you face, regardless of how difficult the problem is. It is going to pay off for you in the end. The return that you will get on the investment in excellence will be better than you can ever imagine. Now, it's not going to be easy. Believe me, it's not going to be easy. There's going to be people out there who are complacent. They don't see the vision. They don't believe in what you're doing or how you're doing it. I encourage you to overlook those people and find a way to maintain your focus regardless of how much they try to distract you. One of these days, you will reach all of your personal and your professional goals. If you're dating or in a relationship and you're looking for that love of your life, one day you will find love. You'll be able to maintain it. You'll be able to nurture it for the rest of your life. And all the work, all the sacrifice, all the battles that you have had to fight are going to be worth it when you're living your life. And it's better than you can ever imagine. All right, I'll talk to you on the next video. Have a great day.